I mean, seriously, what even is a football?
Welcome on in, everybody, to the AZ Wildcats podcast, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. Kevin, and why don't you turn that damn wind music up a little bit louder? Because I'm fired up, Kevin. I said I'm not leaving this freaking office until I get to hear that wind music. And of course, we can't just play it when we're off air. Like, it is a sacred thing.
It's not the same.
We have to treat it as such. Arizona gets the W, playing St.Marys, 81-68 final score in our first look at the Wildcats in the 2025-2026 season. St.Marys, as we kind of discussed on our football postgame, Kevin, pretty good opponent, really good program, and a damn good coach in Randy Bennett. But we're going to talk about everything regarding this game. But Kevin, I know you were just fired up for some hoops. So was it everything you ever dreamed of and more?
Dwayne Aristode had 0 points, so no. But basketball is officially back, chat. I'm ecstatic to be talking to you all about some hoops right now, especially on today of all days. Because the way we started our morning, not great. But the way we got our afternoon set up and the nighttime set up, I'm feeling really good. We even got some Bryce James minutes today, which I think is always going to be a great indicator of Arizona basketball success. If Bryce James is on the court, the game is likely won and in hand, and I'm very excited about that. So,
yeah, he's the new like Liam Lloyd. We won the game.
Yes, yeah, indeed. And I think when we're talking about this game, it is just an exhibition. Don't expect me and Damon to come in here with a bunch of super scorching hot takes based off of one game in the preseason against St.Mary's.
Speak for yourself, brother.
However, I will say that I'm very happy to have hoops back, and we know, as you said in the show tweet, if nobody got us, Tommy Lloyd got us. You know what I mean? We needed this W today. It was a must-win preseason game after Arizona football lost. Arizona basketball delivers. You get to see Koa Peat. You get to see Brayden Burries. You get to see a whole slew of Arizona Wildcats in their first season here. As you said, Damon, St.Marys is not an easy team to tip off your season against.
No.
This is not like a respect the pack, but this is not a Quinnipiac. This is not like some team that is at the bottom of the rankings. This is a team that was a top 25 team.
Quinnipiac straight.
This is a team that was a top 25 team at the end of last season. And I think that Tommy Lloyd choosing St.Marys to open up the season was a good challenge. You see teams across the country right now playing in tough preseason games. The result is up in the air until the very end. I think one thing you can take away from this one is that the result was not up in the air at the end. It feels like even without Tobe Awaka, Arizona was able to get it done today. I was talking to Locked On Wildcats, Leaf on Twitter, and he was saying about how this is even more impressive when you combine that St.Marys is one of the biggest teams in the country from a size perspective, one of the best rebounding teams in the country from that perspective as well. And to not have Tobe Awaka, to put Mo Krivas out there for as many minutes as you did, him to rack up 17 boards is not something to shake a stick at, right? We're going to get into Mo Krivas, and maybe we can start there right there as well. He's not like NBA. I think when he came to Arizona, and I think when he got injured, a lot of people were like, well, he's still NBA prospect Mo Krivas. Watch out for him. And I've never really seen that with him, but I think what you did see tonight, whether you think he's NBA talent or whether you think he's not NBA talent, I even saw some people say he's not even Arizona good. I won't go that far. But I do think that, him racking up 17 boards is a great indication that he is on the right track this season. I think early on in the game, you and I were discussing, not really the offensive performance that we want to see from a guy like Mo Krivas, especially when you have Koa Peat, Brayden Burries, all these other really high-level scorers around him. But I do think him getting ramped back up, him getting back into the flow of things is super important. 17 boards, what are we talking about? That is a great performance from Mo Krivas. I think it is too early for people to make any aspirations or cast any aspersions is what I was really looking for on Mo Krivas. I think, like I said, he's not NBA good, but he's just fine for college if you know how to work with him. And it seems like Tommy Lloyd, the big man whisperer, is just figuring that out.
Yeah, I think, when you look at Mo Krivas' game tonight, obviously the 17 boards stick out to you, 14 defensive, 3 offensive, 2 blocks as well, Kevin, including, he had one where he was a little bit out of position, but he was able to make a good play and block it from behind, which was, I think if Mo Krivas is going to play the minutes that Tommy Lloyd wants him to play this season, you're going to need that, basically. And I know that's not a hot take. Like, no one's sitting here being like, wow, groundbreaking, Damon. You need Mo Krivas to block shots and rebound at the center position. But honestly, like, you do. Because Tobe Awaka will do those things, and he's sitting right there. So if Mo Krivas is not playing up to that standard, there's another guy who you very easily could just give the bulk share of the playing time to. And I think with Mo Krivas in particular, like, with his size and his back to the basket kind of ability, you expect him to, I think look efficient when he's posting up guys. And that still for me leaves a lot to be desired, Kevin. Like, I really, it feels like everything is very close to going in, and like a lot of it doesn't, right? Like, he feels like there's almost a lid on the basket at times for a guy like Mo Krivas. So it's, it's a bit of, I'm looking at that development of things. I want to see his touch get a little bit better, but if he's going to be able to rebound like that and be a guy who's affecting shots at the rim, then he is going to be good enough to play all the time, even if his offense isn't quite at the level that maybe scouts and draft analysts thought it was going to be going into Mo Krivas's, college career, I guess. So I do feel like, it was a big night for him just in terms of no Tobe Awaka. He gets to play 33 minutes and he puts up huge numbers on the boards. I think that you have to give him credit for that and say that if he's going to be able to do that, then him missing shots doesn't matter as much, right? Like, Tobe Awaka is not some offensive wagon, but the fact that he is giving you like 4 offensive rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds in a particular game, that's what is his offensive thing that he's bringing to the table. And I think Mo Krivas needs to add a little bit more of those like smaller things to his game. And we saw it tonight.
I agree with you. And I think in terms of when you look at this roster, like what you actually need Mo Krivas to do, you need him to do what he did tonight, right? Which is rebound, block shots, be a presence on both ends, not necessarily be a focal point on the offensive end because you have so much talent surrounding him offensively. And I think that is kind of where Mo Krivas is going to thrive, right? And kind of being a more supplemental offensive player. I spoke to you about how I loved seeing Tommy Lloyd and staff utilize Mo Krivas in the side pick and roll as opposed to taking it from the point. I think you could use like a Vasar and a point pick and roll because he's so mobile and he can get so far. He can cover so much ground in such a short amount of time. But you don't have that same luxury with a guy like Mo Krivas. So you have to put him at his start of the action closer to the basket. And I love seeing Arizona utilize that early on, as early as you can this season. I also love the high-low game that we were clamoring for all offseason. You have a lot of versatility with Krivas, and you left less versatility than you did with Vasar. But I don't think it's like all of a sudden you can't do certain things because you have Mo Krivas. I think you can do different things because you have Mo Krivas, but it's not as limiting as one might think coming into this season. Norin Rudin, shout out to you.
Norin, we haven't seen you in the chat before, my guy.
No.
What a generous super chat from you, $9.99. We really appreciate it. Genuinely.
Yes, from the bottom of our heart, we genuinely appreciate that. That is real love, real support from you, Noran. Love the reality check for our freshmen. The Gales scoring buckets after a few celebrations and knocking a few guys around is a nice welcome to the next level.
Absolutely.
I love this comment. And this is kind of what I was getting at with St.Marys not being a regular exhibition game, right? I think that is important to challenge your players as close to November 3rd as you can. Because what is November 3rd? Game against the national champions that are defending their title in Florida. Koa Peat, Brayden Burries, Dwayne Aristode, Kharchenkov, these freshmen who are coming into Arizona basketball, it is a real adjustment stepping up into the Big 12. Even if you're like Kharchenkov, I think we saw that today. There's a different speed. There's a different physicality level. There's a different officiating level. There's a different flow to the offense and defense. I feel like a game against St.Marys, who will likely be a tournament team come the end of the year, is huge to start the year against Arizona. It's a huge measuring stick moment, I feel like, for a lot of the freshmen.
Yeah, you hear that a lot from this podcast. Maybe measuring stick should be added to our drinking game that we play. But I do think that this is a great first game. And Tommy Lloyd just does what Tommy Lloyd does, and that's schedule just an absolute gauntlet. Even in an exhibition game, he's like, give me the best opponent I can possibly play.
Yeah. The guy wanted to play a national team next.
Mm-hmm.
To your point, like, it's not like he is like, what's the worst team I can play for the most amount of money? He's not prize fighting. Yeah. He's going for the glory. You know what I mean? And I'm all about that with Tommy Lloyd. And we talked about this in the offseason, and I'll let you go in a second, but I just wanted to underscore your point further. A coach would not schedule a non-conference schedule that is as challenging as Arizona's unless that said coach believed that his roster could go out and get it done. Yeah. Tommy Lloyd likely believes that Arizona can go out and win the vast majority of these non-conference games because of the roster that he has put together.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think Tommy Lloyd is just, frankly, he's that dude.
He is that guy.
He is that guy. And I was trying to think of something, Kevin. I was trying to come, you know how, like, when I was doing this, like, I was like, for life, it's me and Tom. But you know the saying, family over everything? I think we go Tommy over everything. Toe.
I love it.
Tommy over everything. That. I mean, it's genuinely how I feel. That just like popped in my head right now because I was like, if I didn't have Tommy Lloyd, I would have nothing.
It's certainly more safe for work than trust in Tommy, if you get what I'm saying. So I think Tommy over everything certainly should be added to our repertoire here.
Toe, baby. Toe. But I did want to ask you, Kevin, about these star freshmen. And I want to get your evaluation on a lot of these guys. We're going to break it all down. Obviously, I think that that's like the main thing people probably want to talk about because these are the first time that we're getting a look at this. Like, Jaden Bradley, unbelievable tonight, and I'm sure we're going to get into it, especially when Saul calls in here in a few minutes, but who was at McHale for the game and is going to give his thoughts and hear what Tommy Lloyd had to say post-game as well. But I just feel that, like, Jaden Bradley doing that, it's like, we know Jaden Bradley's nice.
Yeah.
Arizona fans know Jaden Bradley's nice.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that was a little bit extra scoring from what we're used to out of JB, but I still think that it's like he's capable of doing that. Whereas these other guys, we're looking at these dudes for the first time, getting evaluations for the first time. And so I guess we'll start with kind of the prized possession of the entire recruiting class, and that's Koa Peat, who, you know, I think you look at his stat line tonight, maybe it looks a little different than the eye test did to an extent, Kevin. 5 for 7 from the field, 0 for 2 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, only 2 fouls, which, you know, there were other guys on the team that had a good amount of fouls. So I think that was a concern we've had about Koa Peat and his ability to be disciplined on defense. And you saw that, you know, happen tonight, which is good. And then he also had a turnover, 2 blocks to go along with it, all in 23 minutes. And of course, a little bit of an injury scare in the process. What did you see from Koa Peat tonight, Kevin? And were you excited by it? Did it like, you know, give you some confidence going into the season or the opposite?
I honestly, like, I am the king of telling people not to overreact to preseason and then overreacting myself. However, I think, like, watching Koa Peat and, like, the true exhibition stuff that we got to see him in, like the red and blue and that kind of showcase stuff, it did kind of give, I think, a lot of fans who are a lot more reactive kind of a worry of, like, he didn't absolutely shine in his first opportunity in front of fans. Is he the guy we think that he is? And I think it's unfair to do that to Koa Peat, but that's like the level of excellence that he has made the standard for himself. And I think that's honestly, you can criticize the people criticizing Pete, but I think ultimately it's a compliment to Koa Peat that people expect him to come into the red and blue game and drop 40 and 10, you know? Yeah. And if he misses a couple shots, all of a sudden, maybe he's not that guy. Mm-hmm. Shea Gill just said it in starting 5 of, like, if I have less than 30, it's a bad game for me. And his significant other's like, 30 is an incredible game. What are you talking about? And I think that's kind of like the Koa Peat thing. Like, if someone else on the team had a Koa Peat-like performance like he had tonight, and Koa Peat had maybe the performance that Dwayne Aristode did, people would be, I think, apoplectic. They'd be like, what is wrong with Koa Peat? Yeah. It's an exhibition game. Why is he not hooping? But I think, like, when you look at Koa Peat, specifically the shots that he made in this game, it really, really made me feel good about him going forward. I know that our guy Max in the chat wants to bring up the free throws, and I agree. We do have to be better about free throws as a team. However, I think that is, like, you're going to get better at that throughout the season. I feel like more reps. These are freshmen for the most part, so I think that's going to be fine. But for me, when I'm watching Koa Peat, I'm watching his shot diet. What shots is Koa Peat, our Koa Peat, taking? right? Because that is his route, I think, to the NBA. Obviously, he's going to be in the NBA regardless. But his route to being a super high-level pick is expanding his offensive game, becoming a more trustworthy scorer on the offensive end. Because right now, evaluators are looking at him like a tweener. Are you a 3? That's huge. Are you a 4? That's small. What do you do on the offensive end? And people don't trust his defense. I'm going to get to that in a second. But I think tonight, the shot diet that Koa Peat was taking was very repeatable. It was very sustainable. And I anticipate more of that for the rest of the season. On the defensive side of things, Damon, a lot of rumors about Koa Peat not being able to play defense this offseason. A lot of draft analysts saying, well, I don't like his defensive instincts. I don't think he has very good defensive instincts. And I'm not going to go as far to say that like he proved the doubters wrong in this one because there's still a lot of season to go against a lot of high-caliber opponents that could put Koa Peat defensively in some spots that he's not comfortable in. However, I think tonight you did see within the defensive system with other high-level defenders, Koa Peat can be very effective. And I think when we're talking about a guy like Mo Krivas, who got both his blocks on pretty much help, right? The second block, you mentioned the first one. The second block was not even his man. He just comes across the paint, gets the block. And I think Koa Peat, like on the defensive end, can do a lot of that kind of stuff, right? I think he can be on his man, be mobile enough to get some help. He'll pick up some blocks and some steals that way. You saw Brayden Burries doing the same thing at the perimeter today. I was very pleased with Koa Peat. Back-to-back exhibitions, though, where he takes a pretty scary fall. That's not ideal. I hope his shot diet becomes a trend and that he can stay on the court because that's back-to-back games where you're leaving an exhibition like, I don't want to see Koa Peat the rest of the game.
Well, and he's a physical player. I think you expect him to take a lot of drives to the basket. You expect him to initiate a lot of contact, and that's going to lead to more scary things like that. But you're right, Kevin. I think that, he thankfully he was fine in both circumstances. But yeah, he's been flying around all over the place. Sometimes you're like, should we just wrap Koa Peat in bubble?
Yeah, we should.
In bubble wrap and just call it a exhibition game. But no, we needed to win this one. It was a must-win game, as I said.
Look what Brent Brennenball does to the basketball program.
Yeah.
Now you're in a must-win spot if you're Tommy Lloyd.
Yeah. He made Tommy Lloyd's job a lot harder, that's for sure. But looking at Koa Peat and just kind of how he performed, I think, for example, you talk about expanding the offensive game. How about that mid-range that he took when he's putting the ball on the floor, he's icing a guy late in the shot clock, they throw him the ball, he's got to do something with it. And I know it takes a precipitous bounce, Kevin, landing kind of in the bucket there after hitting the back iron, but it was a good shot. Like it was a good shot and it was a really, really nice move. So if he can show more signs of that as we go through the season and as the college game starts coming to him a little bit more, I think that could be massive for his draft stock in particular. But you also talk about the defensive stuff, and I've been saying this to you off air, but it's like, hey guys, why don't we calm down a little bit and let the dude play a game of college basketball before we start being like, yeah, Koa Peat's off-ball stuff, it's just not really for me. And you're like, based off of what exactly?
Him being up 20 in every game at Perry?
Yeah, this is based off of Kevin, and not only that, but he is the offense at Perry.
Yeah.
Especially in his last year, which I'm assuming is where if they are even watching film on it, that's where they're watching it. Koa Peat is probably got a usage rate of 80% on Perry.
Literally.
You know what I mean? The dude it's his rock every possession.
Yeah.
So it's the idea that maybe he turns it off a little bit on defense to keep his energy levels right, that doesn't shock me at all. Arizona's a lot different. He has Brayden Burries on the team, Jaden Bradley. He can throw the ball to guys that want the ball and that are in more advantageous positions than him. And because of that, maybe it allows him to focus a little bit more of his energy playing team defense. And so I thought that was ridiculous when you were telling me people are saying Koa's off ball is bad. And I'm like, based off of what? What are we talking about?
1,000%.
Yeah. So that part is funny, but let's transition here to Brayden Burries.
Let's talk about the guy.
Let's talk Brayden Burries ball, because this dude is now, you want to talk about maybe Koa Peat looking slightly disappointing to what maybe Arizona fans expected. Brayden Burries in his 2 opportunities in front of Arizona fans now has been unbelievable, Kevin. Again, tonight, he got 10 points, 5 of 7 shooting, was 0 for 3 from the free throw line, but he got 7 boards. He had 5 fouls, which was kind of a lot, but I think Brayden Burries looks every bit like the scorer that you're going to need him to be all season long. And I mean, we talked about like kind of the pressure that was going to be put on these freshmen with Brayden and Koa in particular, and how they're going to have to, in large part, carry the scoring load for Arizona. I think that Brayden Burries, like, I have full confidence that he is that dude when it comes to putting the ball in the bucket.
I will say this real quick. We do have Saul Bookman live from McHale joining us in just moments. I do want to answer your question before we get to him. I'll keep it brief. Brayden Burries is about as polished as I could have expected him to be coming into this kind of a moment. I think he looks, and again, only one exhibition game, and it is just an exhibition game. However, I think in terms of carrying that burden of replacing Caleb Love's production from last year, seems like he's not going to have, I'm not going to say he's not going to have down games, but in terms of a mental thing, it seems like he's ready for that. Yeah. It seems like he's ready to be that guy on both ends, and it's really exciting, and it's really promising. Now, speaking of exciting and promising, we have our guy Saul Bookman live from the McHale Center. Let's bring him in right now. Saul, basketball is back. How are we feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, hey, listen, I think they couldn't have faced a better opponent in the exhibition than St.Marys, a team that has virtually no athleticism, no 5 stars, no hype guys or anything like that. They just know how to play basketball, and listen, Randy Bennett does a good job over there. And I think it teaches your freshmen and your team that it doesn't matter how elite you are athletically. If you are not smart enough and your fundamentals are not strong enough to handle this game, you can get beat by anybody. And I think you saw that lesson at least be taught throughout the course of the game, with Arizona getting up to double digits and then coming back down to 3 and back and forth. But listen, Arizona's good. Newsflash. And so, I think they handled it well. I think the freshmen learned a lot, and it was a good start.
So I'll start here because ultimately this is just a preseason game. We're not here to make any sort of grand projections or takes about the rest of the season. But what were, if anything, some takeaways that you had from this one in terms of personnel, in terms of what the talent level looked like? What are some things you can take away from this preseason matchup?
Well, I think early going through 2 exhibition games, if you want to count red and blue, I agree with your guys' point about Brayden Burries. So, like, it doesn't even seem like he's a freshman. He just seems very smooth, methodical.
It's natural.
He knows what he wants to do. Yeah, it's very natural. And if you were going to have a freshman come in and replace somebody like Caleb Love, I mean, I don't think you could have found a better one in the country than Brayden Burries. Brayden and Bradley, the Killer Bees, are going to do some work this year. They're going to be as stable a backcourt as you could hope from a senior and a freshman combined. And I'm excited to see it because it's going to feed families.
Another freshman besides Brayden Burries is Koa Peat. Damon and I spoke a little bit about his performance tonight and just sort of the over-analysis, I'll say, of his game heading into this season. A lot of people being like, well, I don't like his off-ball defense, even though he was playing in high school a couple months ago. Well, I don't like this. They're kind of nitpicking with Koa Peat. Where are you at right now with Koa Peat? Do you think that he is still the player that he was advertised to be coming in?
Well, I mean, it depends on what you think that advertisement is. If you think he's going to be the savior of the franchise and he's going to be, like a DeAndre Ayton 2.0 when he was here, then you're probably going to be a little, dissatisfied. But if you think Koa Peat is going to be a high-level talent that can help you get to the Final Four, but you understand that there are some weaknesses in his game that he has to shore up. There's some things that he has to improve on. And listen, I talked to a scout, after the game was over, and just wanted his impressions of both Burries and Koa. And he flat out said, like, he loves both of them. He think they're both going to be, high level NBA players at some point in their life. But if he had to decide right now, Brayden Burries is definitely the ready to go prospect, and Koa's got some things to work on, because the way you got to think about it is how do they fit in the NBA? What are the discernible skill sets that are translatable to the NBA right away? And Koa lacks some of those immediately translatable skill sets out when you get outside of the intelligence and the athleticism, as opposed to Burries, who has skill sets that are NBA ready today. So I think he's got a little bit of ways to go. I think he's going to be a work in progress. But I also think that his athleticism and his intelligence are going to obviously keep him in the fold. He's going to be able to dominate at certain times. And he's just going to continue to develop. And I think that's the thing that we gotta understand. Not every freshman comes in ready to go on day one. And though him athletically seemed like he was going to be ready to go on day one, and he is, he still had the great thing is he still has such a big gap to try to fill as he goes through his freshman season. And the more and more he fills it, the better and better he's going to get. And he's going to, at some point, it's going to click and he's going to dominate these games. And I don't think that that's going to take too long.
The one thing that, and you mentioned it, that I always like, I'll fall back on with Koa Peat is he's not your typical blue chip 5-star mentally. And like, I think that he has such a good head on his shoulders. He's so locked in on what Tommy Lloyd and the program want to do, winning basketball games. Like, it's not about, for Koa Peat, it's not about putting up the craziest statistics possible. Now, does he want to put up statistics and help his team win? I'm sure. But I think, what's mostly important for him is getting just the W at the end of the day. And a guy like that, I feel like you can trust that he is going to figure things out, even if it doesn't look perfect right away, because he's going to stay so locked into what the coaching staff and the development team are trying to get done for him.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. And again, I think this is where I know he's looking back at the film, constantly saying, okay, where did I mess up here? How am I going to improve here? When you're playing against somebody like St.Marys, they're going to make your flaws very obvious. There were some certain rotations, obviously, that were a little weak. There were, just almost a general lack of awareness. Even something as simple as on a ball screen, your man rolls and you're turning your back to the ball. Something as simple as that, right? Like, he has a tendency to do that a couple times because he could get away with it in high school, and he could get away with it to some degree at the AAU level. Well, you get to college, guess what? You play a good point guard, that dude's going to zing it right past your ears, right to the guy that you're supposed to be covering for an easy deuce. You play against a Houston, they will find a way to exploit those lack of fundamentals, right? I know he's working on those things, and those are being coached up. So I'm not so concerned about Koa. If Koa was just strictly relying on his athleticism and didn't appear to have the intelligence to be able to play at the Division I level, then I would be far more concerned. But he is a bright young man. He's going to be fine. I have no doubt that he'll rectify some of these shortcomings that he has here in the early going, because it is a learning process. Not everybody knocks it out day one. And even Brayden Burries has tendencies, but those are being overshadowed because he's so good on the offensive side that we're not really harping on it so much. But when you see Koa Peat, not get the amount of rebounds that you would like to see, not have those big highlight reel plays that you'd like to see, not drop 20 points in a game like you'd like to see, then people start to panic. And it's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately, here at Arizona, but they're going to be fine. I have two other takeaways if you guys want them real quick.
Go ahead.
So one, just like in the early going, I thought Kharchenkov got stronger as the game went on. I really liked what I saw from him. And then the second one was Krivas. I do like what I'm seeing from him. He also got stronger as the game went on. It's like he's starting to get his legs back underneath him. He still has some tendencies he's got to work out. Like, one thing I pointed out on Twitter was, that over the top feed that he gets, and then he hesitates at the basket because he doesn't have a good feel for who's around him, right? Like, that's something that hopefully will come with time, because as he gets surrounded by these guys and understands how defenses are trying to play him, he'll adjust and he'll be better. But I really liked what I saw from him today. It felt like every single time St.Mary's missed a bucket, it was an automatic rebound for Krivas, who had 17 tonight.
Speaking of Krivas' rebounding, one thing that you kind of touched on there a little bit, but I want to key on further. We talked about it to start the show a little bit. His ability to offensively rebound and immediately be decisive and kick a ball out to someone who can make a play, I think was also key, because we're talking about losing Henry Vesar this upcoming season. And I think one thing he was good at on the offensive end is offensive rebounds tipped out to a guard or a wing. And I think if Krivas can kind of get you extra possessions, I think it's going to be huge for this upcoming year. Saul, I know you don't have too much time with us today, so I did want to ask you one question. I know you've played ball, you know ball. This is what you do, Saul. We talked a lot about the side pick and roll for Arizona in this one, and how we anticipate them utilizing that more with a less mobile big like Krivas versus a more mobile big like Vesar. Were there any other X's and O's things that stuck out to you tonight that you think we might see a trend of going forward this season?
No, it was really hard to kind of really identify any particular types because so one thing I saw when I was in Colorado Springs and watching Tommy kind of coach his guys up on that, that I like to call it the 3-man weave, like the bob and weave offense that they like to run. Is in those sets when they isolate to one side and they kind of go that 3-man rotation on that one side, there are far more options than what you're seeing right now. And they're not trying to exploit that stuff. I don't think. I think they're just trying to work the defense. They really the biggest thing is I was a little stunned that they were taking so many quick shots early in the first half. I mean, maybe 10, 15 seconds in the shot clock, they're jacking it up, which is very uncommon for a Tommy Lloyd team that isn't outrunning. Once they get into their sets, they like to work the ball from side to side for about 20 to 25 seconds to find those weak spots that the defense will inevitably give up to you. Tonight, I thought they got a little impatient at first, and then they started to work and work and work and work. And I thought that they missed a lot of opportunity to even get Krivas the ball a couple of times down low. So I think in terms of right now, you're seeing pretty vanilla stuff. But as they move towards the season, I guarantee you, night number 1 against Florida, we will not see some of these things that we'll see here in about 3 weeks. So I'm excited. Nothing that really stands out. Listen, they haven't tried any kind of backside lob plays. Dwayne Aristode was relatively really quiet tonight. I didn't really love his performance. Yeah, I didn't really love his performance. I felt like he was basically he wasn't there tonight.
It was touch ball, pass ball is what it was.
Yeah, the way I like to think about it is like, did I know you played tonight? And like, nothing that he did tonight really stood out as opposed to everybody else that was in that starting lineup or in that first 8-9 man rotation. Somebody did they all did something at some point or another during the game that stood out at one point or another. Even Evan Nelson, when Arizona kind of did their typical run of death after St.Marys had cut it to 3, they went on like an 8-0 run, and Evan Nelson capped it off with a 3 in the corner. I thought that was a really good run for those guys. I liked how Arizona looked tonight against a very fundamentally sound Randy Bennett coach team. And I think you should be encouraged as you move forward because listen, the sky's the limit with this team. They're going to listen. I'm going to say this until the cows come home, guys. They're going to get their S kicked in every now and then. They're going to have some bad moments. Like everybody should be prepared for this because they're not going to be perfect at all times. Like there are going to be some things that they're inherently going to struggle with, and other teams are going to have runs. But this team is plenty good enough to get back into those games and overcome some of those runs. And I think you saw a glimpse of that tonight.
Do you have any more takeaways for us, Saul? I do know that you have a very special event to get to here coming up. If you don't have anything else, I did want to get to our super chat.
My only other takeaway was I thought the crowd was pretty energetic for an exhibition game. I really like that. And I just thought overall, I really like what I'm seeing. There are the fact that I'm seeing about 60% capacity Arizona in terms of their ability to thrive this year is a really good sign because they have so much potential. And my last thing, I promise. Jaden Bradley, dude.
Oh,
I said this last year, guys. And I'm going to say it again. I don't think I will have a more favorite U of A player in my lifetime than Jaden Bradley because I feel like Jaden Bradley does everything you could ever want from a player. Like everything. He is so crafty. He's smart. He's a good teammate. He's a good captain. He does things when you need him to do them. Like I don't think I've loved a player more than Jaden Bradley. It's just I'm so grateful and thankful that I get to watch him this season. It's gonna be dope. Let's go.
In every sense of the word, Jaden Bradley is a winner. He really, truly is. And we talk a lot about, and me particularly, I like to say a certain player doesn't play or does play winning basketball. And I think Jaden Bradley exemplifies that to the utmost degree. Like every time that there's a big moment, he wants the ball in his hands. You see, I always harken back to when he was coming off the bench and Kylan Boswell's stinking it up in the tournament. Who's coming in and being the leading scorer for Arizona versus Clemson in the Sweet 16? Jaden Bradley off the bench, hitting multiple three-pointers. Same thing versus Oregon. I know we credit Tobe Awaka a lot with how that comeback was started and his rebounding dominance, which he was, way up there for reasons, but Jaden Bradley right next to him, hitting 2 threes in that game as well. Like, every time that the tournament rolls around, all of a sudden this dude can shoot from the perimeter. And you're like, where did that come from? Just a gamer. And as you said, like, I'm another guy who's just, happy he's on my team, and I don't got to play against him.
And I'll say this, Saul,
this is without a doubt a Jaden Bradley Stan account for sure.
It is a Jaden Bradley Stan podcast. We are the #1 Jaden Bradley podcast. And I'll say this, like, before we get your super chat and get you out of here, there is literally, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe you can pick 1 or 2 other guys in the country. There's no one I'd rather have Brayden Burries learning from than Jaden Bradley. Like, I think that he is the perfect kind of guard for Brayden Burries to learn from. Brayden Burries does not need any more offensive tools. He doesn't. Give him the defensive stuff, give him the leadership stuff, give him the decision-making stuff, and he's going to be money this year for Arizona.
There's only one other backcourt in the country where I would feel, if I was a fan of, or if I wanted, Brayden Burries to learn from, and that'd be Houston. That's it. Outside of that, there's not really another backcourt in the country that I would think that would benefit Brayden the way Jaden will benefit him this season. Go ahead.
And Uzan, as much as we love Jaden Bradley, Uzan beat Jaden Bradley head-to-head last year, and it was kind of down the stretch the reason that Houston was, scoring points that won them these basketball games. I'm really excited for that matchup again this season. I bet you Jaden Bradley has been chomping at the bit to get a piece of Uzan again, and kind of just prove people that, it shouldn't have gone down the way that it went down last season. But
Absolutely.
Saul, we do have a super chat that our guy AZCatchG sent in, $2. Thank you so much, my guy. Says, security, don't mess with Saul. He is busy.
He's talking ball.
Of course, that harkens back to our red-blue postgame we did, where Saul gave the campus tour because he was being kicked out of McKeel Center.
They did not do that tonight. Actually, I went to the post-game press conference and I came back and security was nowhere to be found. So maybe that was a calculated decision on my end to try and avoid that again. So no problems this time. Just the cleaning crew doing their typical usual job of keeping the house clean and doing a phenomenal job at that. And with that being said, guys, love y'all. Appreciate y'all. I got to head back up north as fast as I can. So hopefully I don't get a ticket.
Be very safe, Saul. Be very safe.
Be safe. Appreciate you, Saul Bookman. You can follow him at Saul_Bookman on Twitter. Appreciate all of his hard work and keeping us as up to date and covered with this basketball program as possible. And of course, I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention that McHale Madness is going to be starting back up again, Kevin, as the basketball season goes around here. And of course, Arizona basketball former star Corey Williams and Saul Bookman and our guy Kevin Thomas pressing some buttons behind the scenes. The three of them giving you the best breakdown of Arizona basketball. Weekly, it's going to be either Tuesday or Thursday nights, depending on Corey's schedule calling games. But yeah, Saul Bookman, Corey Williams, Kevin Thomas. Is there a better trio in the gosh damn world?
Kevin? The Big Three.
The Big Three. That's what they're calling them. But I got to say, before we get out of here, I got to ask you one more thing, and I think it's crazy that we didn't have this discussion.
Let's talk.
All off season long, we made so much of, well, most of the rotation is figured out. You got most of your lineup is figured out. Granted, Tobe versus Krivas is a little bit of like, who's going to be the starter? I could see it going either way, and it's not necessarily like I think that they're going to play essentially what Vasar and Tobe did last year, which is a almost even split every single game to keep them fresh. Yeah. But we talked a lot about the three position, and tonight Anthony Del Orso gets the start at the three. A new and improved Deli, super soldier Deli, gained a lot of muscle, gained a beard. I mean, he's alphaed out now, and he's still a starter for this team, Kevin. Obviously, you were super excited to watch your guy Dwayne Aristode in this game.
Not a great night for Aristodians.
Didn't work out. No, it didn't work out the way that maybe you wanted it to. And then Ivan Kharchenkov, who was kind of always thought of as like the dark horse candidate, but like we wanted to like still be like, you never know. I mean, he could come in and be pretty nice. He's not going to be the starter, Kevin, but Ivan Kharchenkov looked legit tonight. 9 points, 4 of 7 from the field. Gave you 2 assists as well. I really liked what I saw from Kharchenkov. He did have 2 turnovers in kind of limited minutes, 24 minutes, 2 turnovers, 2 assists. So I think that's going to be a big thing for him. I bet taking care of the basketball something we're going to need to monitor all season long. But what was your evaluation of this small forward position as a whole? I guess maybe more so we should just call it like the wing position. But how do you feel about the performances of these three tonight? And how do you feel about ADO being the starting small forward probably for this team?
Here's where I'm at with the wings, with the small forwards for Arizona basketball right now. ADO is probably going to get that nod as a starter. I think we know Tommy Lloyd really favors experience. He really favors having been there before, and he's been in the trenches with ADO for a year now. And so I think he's banking on the bulk, and he's banking on ADO being able to stay out there longer defensively. And hell, he's banking on ADO's range being even deeper. I tweeted it. I know it's a preseason game, but genuinely it felt like ADO's offensive game has grown, has expanded.
Yeah.
He's no longer out there. I mean, he's out there just to shoot threes. Let's keep it a buck. But he's no longer only able to do that. It feels like if he has a matchup where he feels like he can take them, he'll take them this year.
You're waxing poetically, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but there was an example of that to a T. He got the point guard of St. Mary's guarding him, and he took the dude under the basket and got an easy bucket on him. And it was a play that we have not seen Delly make at Arizona. Maybe he was doing it at Campbell against weaker competition, but we haven't seen him take advantage of like an athletic mismatch ever. And he did that tonight when he got the opportunity to.
And I think that is an underrated part of him bulking up. We've talked about the bulk on the defensive end. We talked about it for him in his minutes. But what we haven't talked about is it giving him an advantage on the offensive end to navigate screens, to take guys off the bounce. And I think that ADO tonight showed why he's going to probably be given that starting role, right? He can shoot. He can be somewhat trusted, having experience, and he's improved over last season. Moving on to Dwayne Aristode. I think Dwayne Aristode is still one of my favorite prospects on this team. I'm still an Aristodian after tonight, even though he put up 0. I'm still an Aristodian. I think that his talents, he didn't even tap into them tonight in any way. And I think what I said to Saul was exactly my takeaway for Dwayne Aristode tonight. He was passive. And I don't think that is something that will continue the rest of the season. I think having met him, having spoke to him on this very podcast, it feels like he is an aggressor. It feels like he is a dog. It feels like he wants to go, I'm not going to say get his, that makes him sound selfish, but I think if he feels like he has an advantage, he's going to take that. And I think he didn't do that tonight against St. Mary's. It was a lot of swing to Aristode, swing back to the guard, or swing to Aristode, flow it into the next player. He wasn't really giving himself the chance to make a statement tonight for the Arizona fans. I think that we are probably looking at a similar track, and this is something you and I have been talking about off air a lot, Damon. We're looking at a similar track to like a Carter Bryant, where there are games where Aristode's going to look like a can't-miss prospect. And then there will be games where Aristode looks like he did tonight. Kind of passive, kind of unsure of himself, kind of not really impacting the game in a massive way. I do think that by season's end, Aristode will be one of the best and most impactful players on this team. I think his skill set dictates it. His defense dictates it. His size dictates it. And he just needs the aggression on the offensive end specifically.
Yeah.
And I do think that tonight you saw why ADO, like I said, will get to be that starter. Aristode cannot come out passive in any moment in any game. He has to be full out aggression all the time. That's his game. That's how he's predicated, right? And I think moving on to Ivan Kharchenkov, I think he has the highest floor at the college level of any of these players. And now that I feel like might be a hot take, maybe. When we're talking about Aristode and we're talking about ADO.
Especially when you consider one's a guy who's a senior who's played in college before, you know exactly what you're getting. One's a top 50 recruit who played high school basketball here in the States, and one is a European prospect from Bayern Munich playing 2 minutes per game last year. So it is kind of crazy, I think, to say that. But I want to hear you out.
I think he has the highest floor from a perspective of he has like real experience, like against real basketball players that do this to put food on their family's table overseas. And I think that when you talk about a guy who, and this is what I took away from my film preview of him this season, right, is that he can kind of do it all. He's not like great at anything, but he can do it all on the court. He's very well-rounded. And I think when we're talking about a performance like tonight, he's not going to start because he has to figure out how to play at this level. He has to figure out how to play at college. He has to figure out how to play in the Big 12. And that's okay. He's going to have some moments where it's like, damn, Ivan, what was that about? But he's also going to have some moments where it's like, wow, we needed that stop that Ivan Kharchenkov got us. Wow, we needed that layup that Ivan Kharchenkov got us. And I think all the flashes that Dwayne Aristode will show, I think his frame, his athleticism, his age, it kind of dictates that he will be, like, if he fulfills his potential, a higher NBA draft pick than Kharchenkov. However, we're playing college basketball. Like, you and I are going to project the whole season. We're talking how Arizona is going to try to win a national championship this year. And I think for production on this year's team, I think Kharchenkov has the mentality of having a very high floor. He can play defense. He can play offense. He can pass a little bit. He can rebound a little bit. He can score a little bit. That's kind of where I'm getting at. Like, I feel like he is the most can't fail at the college level of the three. Like, even Carter Bryant last year struggled a lot throughout the course of the season. I think Dwayne Aristode's a lot more cut like that than he is, like, can't miss the whole time, not going to have a bad game. I think Kharchenkov's going to be more consistent with his production and consistent with all the things that we expect him to do than an Aristode, than an ADO. ADO shot 1 for 7 from 3 tonight, right? Like, I know he did a lot of other stuff really well. If he makes some of those threes, we're talking about 20-plus point performance from ADO, and I think that's really big. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the small forward position. I think Aristode has the highest ceiling. ADO has the most, like, college-ready experience. But Kharchenkov, I feel like, will be the most consistent player of the three, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I hear you what you're saying. I do think that, like, with Delhi, it's the consistency thing is a little bit tough because sometimes your shot just doesn't fall.
Correct.
And so it's like, if that's his role, it's kind of hard to knock him for taking the shots that he's being asked to take and then them just not going in. It's not everybody's.
They were good shots tonight. I'm not trying to say they were bad shots.
No, yeah, I get you. But I'm saying, like, I think that you're right. There are going to be a lot of Delhi games where it's like, oh, he just didn't really have it from 3 tonight. And he didn't play a ton of minutes because of it.
Yeah, he'll wane like the moon, but he'll be in the big games. Like ADO.
I still think that there's an element of consistency with that, though, in terms of, like, he's the most perimeter threat that they have. So I feel like you almost have to, like, play defense against him differently than you would the other small forward options because you have to respect the perimeter shot so much that maybe it opens up the rest of the floor for everybody else to work, gives Brayden Burries, Koa Peat more opportunity to, like, take someone on off the dribble on a drive because they have to respect that kick out to Delhi so much, right? Whereas Kharchenkov, Aristode, they might help off a little bit more and be like, sure, go ahead and take that 3. If you take that, make it, and we lose because of that, then
those two have to prove that they're 3-and-D threats before they become 3-and-D.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, this position is going to be so fun to break down all season long. And, like, I really think it's by far the most, like, wild card of, like, I don't know what direction this is going to go in at all. What if Kharchenkov just is like, this is my job.
Takes off.
Exactly. So it's, and I wouldn't expect that out of Aristode every night, especially, the 0 points. But, Kevin, I did tweet who was going to have the bigger freshman year impact between Dwayne Aristode and Carter Bryant. And you came out immediately and you were like, it's Dwayne, right? And you're Mr. Aristode.
I'm
right?
an Aristodian,
you're an
man.
Aristodian. I think Carter obviously was not, like, fully ready to go last season. And he was very, very raw. And Tommy faced criticism for how he kind of rolled out Carter. And I think some of it is fair, actually. I really do. I think Carter, like, if Tommy looks back on the season, I don't think he agrees with it, but I think if Tommy looks back on the season as being truthful, Carter probably should have been given more run early to make those mistakes when the team was struggling in non-con, and then, have that opportunity to kind of thrive more as the season went on, which we did see a lot of at the end of the season. But yeah, I mean, Carter Bryant averaged 6.5 points per game, 4.1 rebounds, and 1 assist, Kevin, in 19.3 minutes. After Dwayne Aristode's not very good performance tonight, does your answer change at all? Do you I mean, I imagine you probably still feel towards the Dwayne Aristode side, but, like, has your confidence in that waned? How are you feeling about the comparison between Aristode and Carter Bryant and what their impact at Arizona will be in their freshman seasons?
I still feel like it's good, and I still feel the same way I felt. It's just a preseason game, right? And he was the most passive I've literally ever seen him be in a basketball game tonight. I've never seen him be that level of passive, right? I don't anticipate that being a consistent thing with Aristode. I think what still gives me such confidence that he will have a higher and more outsized impact than Carter Bryant is his defensive intangibles. His willingness, his physicality, his technique defensively is more ready than Carter Bryant's was day one. And so I think I could be wrong. Like, please clip this in 8 months if I'm completely off base and Dwayne Aristode has flopped and Carter Bryant's like an NBA All-Star or something, right? But like, I just think that Aristode has enough offense and superior defense at this point. Like October of last year, I think Aristode is more ready than Carter Bryant was. Mm-hmm. And so I still feel confident. It's just a preseason game. I think he'll be utilized more heavily going forward. And if he has another 0-point game, maybe we can talk then. Right, genuinely, because I'm not like ruling out that he'll have that. I could be like, I can't be wrong. I'm not saying that, but it was just a preseason game, and a lot of guys got run. 8 or 9 guys in a preseason game without a Waka. You're talking about like 10 guys deep at that point. So I'm not too upset with it. But it is like something we'll remember the rest of the year. I think if the passivity, is that a word? If the passiveness, yeah, if the passiveness continues, we'll call back to October 18th. At like 6 p.m. and be like, you know what? I remember he was passing up a lot of opportunities to drive. He was passing up a lot of opportunities to make plays. But yeah, I'm still on Team Aristode right now. Always on Team Bryant as well, so don't get that messed up. But yeah, nothing changed after tonight. But it was like a hashtag noticing.
Fence it at the end there.
How?
Oh, I'm also Team Carter, so don't get me wrong.
What did you say before you let that tweet off?
I said that you are the world's foremost combination of Aristode and Carter Bryant stan on the planet.
So I can't.
Yeah, but I'm saying when you're like, in regards to this discussion, it's, are you Team Aristode or are you Team Carter? And you're like, no, I'm still Team Carter. And it's like, well,
no, I was saying I'm still Team Aristode, but that's no diss to Carter.
I'm just
yeah. I'm still Team Aristode.
Guys fired up.
I'm making a stand. I'm making a stand. No, I'm making a stand right now. I'm Team Carter.
Kevin doesn't joke around about Dwayne Aristode and Carter Bryant. It's not funny.
No,
it's not funny. It's serious business stuff.
It's serious.
It's really serious.
What did I say when Shane and Eric walked in of the ASU pod? They wanted to make some jokes because they're jokesters. I said, guys, you can be nasty about everybody else on our team. Because it's just me and Damon. We can be guys, have a joke. Don't you ever dare talk about our sweet, sweet boy, Dwayne Aristode.
Dude, I'm sorry.
Don't you ever dare. You know what I mean? We got to defend
Kevin and I are
him.
going to have to work out some problems after we get off air here, clearly. But, yeah, it was a fun one and a much needed W because, guys, that football game sucked earlier today.
God, it was awful.
And Tommy Lloyd, he's got us. Toe
till we die.
Literally. Appreciate Saul for hopping on, giving us boots on the ground perspective in Tucson. And of course, appreciate my guy Kevin for always holding it down, for being the catalyst of doing this episode. You guys can thank Kevin. Kevin is so fired up to talk basketball. He would refuse to not do a show.
I wanted to do a watch along.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it didn't. I'm not saying Damon didn't, but it just didn't feasibly work out. We had a football postgame show. Yeah. ASU's doing a postgame show here today. So it just didn't work out. Yeah. But I was literally like, guys, can we do a watch along for St. Mary's exhibition?
Do I need to leave the football postgame so I can do a watch along and Damon just finishes it out or what?
Yeah, no. But look forward genuinely to a pregame and watch along for the Florida game. So if you were in this chat and you're not in our pregame or watch along for the Florida game, I'll be very disappointed in you. Please show some love. Watch that game. React with us. The regular season's just around the corner. Thank you for tapping in. Some of you guys tapped in on 3 hours or 2.5 plus hours of AZ Wildcats podcast content today. Genuinely, thank you. It means the world to me and Damon. We love talking Arizona sports like Arizona Wildcats athletics, but it means more when there are people in the chat reacting with us, talking to us, sharing their time with us. I know Derek says it on the Diamondbacks pod. I'm just mad I didn't come up with it, but it's true. Your time is your greatest commodity in this life. So thank you for spending hours of your days, hours of your weeks with us. It means the world. Thank you for your super chats. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for your comments. Thanks for watching this basketball game because Hoops is back, Damon. And let's get out of here and see him on Monday.
We will, in fact, be back on a Monday at 2 p.m. And, guys, I do have some bad news. My two-pronged positivity rant earlier, we only got half of it. At least the Arizona basketball program won because Arizona State got it done versus Texas Tech.
Boom!
And, Kevin, I don't know if you saw what happened. Tech took the lead.
What?
And Sam Levitt went down and scored a touchdown to retake the lead. Yep. Tech got up 22-19, and I'm pretty sure with 2 minutes left, pretty sure it felt like it was over at that point for ASU fans. And Sam Levitt does it again. 75 yards. Game-winning drive. Unfortunate.
Sick to my stomach.
Unfortunate, and ASU is still very much in the thick of things here when it comes to the Big 12 title race, unfortunately. So yeah,
that makes me sick.
That one's gonna suck. But I think from a Texas Tech perspective, they're gonna feel like they would have won that game with their quarterback.
Yeah.
Will Hammond was terrible in the first half. He ended the game playing a little bit better. I didn't watch, obviously, we were doing the show. ASU was most definitely kind of letting them have a lot of the underneath stuff, right? So probably playing a lot different style defense. But yeah, Texas Tech probably wins this one with Baron Morton and with Mom's Meatloaf. And
we're not even in overtime, so I can't even curse. I'm upset. I'm really upset. How do you, and then you, and then Levitt, and then and let's get out of here. I want to go home.
Yep, it is unfortunate, but yeah, I mean, you win some and you lose some.
That was us today, 1 for 1. So
well, 1 for 2. Like 1 and 2.
Yeah.
1 for 3, really.
Yeah.
Because we lost our football game as well. But of course, we will be talking about another loss Monday at 2 p.m. on the AZ Wildcats pod right here on PHNX Sports. Make sure that you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, rate and review on your favorite podcasting platform, and throw me, Kevin, and our show a follow at Damon Dog, at Kevo Post, at PHNX_Wildcats for all things social media that have to do with Arizona Wildcats. We really are just constantly just keeping you updated on the PHNX Wildcats account. So go throw that guy a follow if you haven't done so already as well. And Kevin, that's going to do it for us today on the AZ Wildcats pod. Like I said, we'll be back on a Monday at 2 p.m. Excited to do so and excited to talk about Arizona football and basketball moving forward out until the rest of the season. You guys know that we will be live for all of it over here at the AZ Wildcats pod because that's what we do, Kevin.
That's just what we do.
That's just what we do. Appreciate everybody for watching today. As Kevin said, especially the people that were watching 2-3 shows, you guys are our people. We appreciate you. I say Tommy over everything, but family over everything as well. You guys are family. We love you guys so, so much. Like I said, throw us all follows, like this video, and we'll catch you on Monday. Until next time, peace out, bear down.
And go Cats and Brayden Burries, we trust.
We all silly like the mayor.